If you're looking for a compact and yet powerful way to keep your camera and your other gear powered, you need to look into the Neewer PS099E. This is a 99 watt hour battery, or about 6800 milliamp hours. This gives you up to 14.5 volts of power at once. This uses V-mount, so it's perfect to put on a camera rig, and you get so many great features in it. Now, I do want to say Neewer sent me this battery for purposes of making this video, but all the thoughts and content in this video are my own. They're not seeing this video till any of you guys do as well. So let's get right into it. The first thing that you will note when you see the battery, it has this really sleek black appearance. You get a nice OLED screen on the front, and whenever you press the power button, you can see how much voltage is being used on every single output. And what's really nice about the power button is you can also press it and hold it to power the battery off if you don't want to keep all your camera equipment on. Otherwise, when you start plugging stuff into this, the battery will come on. If you're interested in buying this battery or any of these accessories, I do have links in the description below. Let's look at all the different ports we get on this. On the side, we get a USB-C and a USB-A port. And then on the other side, we get a DTAP port. So these are both really useful ports for keeping a lot of different things powered. Then on the top, we get an 8 volt and a 12 volt port. It is important to note that the 12 volt port is 2.5 millimeter and the 8 volt port is 2.1 millimeter. So the sizes of them are slightly different. So make sure you get the right adapter depending on the type of equipment you're using. Another thing about batteries like this, no matter what the brand is, Neewer, SmallRig, whoever, you really want to make sure you're using regulated adapters. So what I mean by that is we can power this Lumix S52X in a couple different ways. We could use the USB-C port on the side of this and plug it into the USB-C port, or we could get a dummy battery instead and use the 12 volt out to power your camera. And what's really cool about this is it actually has the voltage regulator in it, so that keeps it from sending too much voltage into your camera and frying your camera. So with any of these batteries, always make sure that you're checking what the voltage output is and what your camera or your monitor is going to need. This FeelWorld monitor takes 12 volts in, or you can also use an NPF adapter on the back. I have an NPF dummy battery that regulates the voltage down to what this wants. My Atomos Ninja, it has a very wide variety of voltage it's able to take in. So again, I use that regulated adapter to use the DTAP to plug it in. So these batteries are really great for powering your camera. You can use them to charge all your different accessories. You could use them to keep your computer charged, pretty much anything, because the USB-C port on this actually puts 65 watts of power out at once. So that's very impressive, very powerful, and that's going to even keep some of the bigger MacBooks going if they're not on a crazy heavy load. If you're using this with a camera rig, you are going to have to ask yourself, how am I actually going to attach it to the camera? I'm personally using this SmallRig Mini V-mount battery adapter plate. This has an Arca clamp on the inside, so we can just slide it directly on to my camera cage. Then we slot the battery in directly on the back. You could also use the battery pins on the bottom and use this with a power plate. I'm just using this plate that doesn't give you any power because I'm using all the ports on the side of the battery instead of the plate to power my gear. So now we got this compact rig, we need to get power out. So I'm gonna use my Condor Blue dummy battery, and I'm gonna just go into the 12 volt output, plug it in there, and then we just need to open up our battery door, pop the old battery out. There's this little rubber gasket that you get out of the way, and then you're able to thread the cable through. So I've had really great luck using my Panasonic camera with this battery. And then I also find that this battery works really well with Sony cameras as well. I've been using the USB-C output on this with my Sony cameras, the USB-C output with my Panasonic camera. I've had very great luck with it. It's really hard to tell exactly how much battery life you can expect out of these batteries. For someone like me who's mostly just shooting YouTube videos in my house, I found one battery to be more than enough to last me all day long while shooting, but I'm not shooting for 8 hours straight. There's a lot of breaks in between. So if you're gonna be running constantly for a long time, you might wanna buy 2 of the batteries so you can swap them out while you're going. You'll also have to just take into account how much camera gear you're using. If we add this camera monitor into the mix, we are gonna be drawing more output from it, and we can even see on the back how much voltage is currently being used, what all the different outputs on it are. And we can see the current battery capacity. So right now we're at about 78% battery. I actually shot a whole video with this earlier. I think it was about a 15-minute video. I was powering my Atomos Ninja and my Sony FX30. I only lost about 8% of battery after 15 minutes. Another example of battery life, a few days ago, I was shooting with this, using it for a couple hours, and I think I lost about 20% of my battery life just shooting a bunch of B-roll off and on. So your mileage may vary on the amount of power that you get out of this battery, but you're gonna need to do tests with your gear to figure out just how long they're gonna last. Another thing that's great about these batteries is you can actually charge them in two ways. You can either get a D-tap charger or you can just charge it using USB-C. No charger or cable was included with this, so you will want to get your own charger. I recommend getting a 65 watt USB-C charger because that's going to be able to charge this in about 3 hours or so. I have links in the description below to a charger I recommend by Anker. Another cool accessory you could get with this is a mini V-mount clamp, because then you could just attach this to the clamp and clamp it on to your tripod or other accessory. And then you don't have to fully rig out your camera, but then you can use this to power your camera while you're shooting on your tripod. So the question that we have to ask ourselves is, should you buy the PS099E battery? In my experience of using it, I've absolutely loved it. It's had no issues handling any cameras, lights, video monitors, or other accessories that I've thrown at it. And I found all the different outputs on it are more than enough than I need. You will have to get a little bit creative sometimes, like I'm using this D-tap adapter to go to my camera monitor, and then I'm using the 12-volt adapter to go to my camera. You could also get a D-tap adapter to use for your dummy battery, or you could just use the USB-C output on the side and plug it directly into your camera as well. So there's a lot of different options. You just have to do the research to make sure that those options are going to work for all of your different accessories, and make sure you get cables that are going to send the correct voltages into the correct equipment. You're also probably going to want to get a battery plate adapter for this. I really like the SmallRig one because you're actually just able to move it out of the way really easy. So my screen's not out right now. We can fold this lever down. We can open the screen up, get it out of the way. We can also extend this to get it even more out of the way and then fold it back up. So there's a lot of versatility with the SmallRig adapter that I really like. Neewer also has one that's great as well. So you will need to take into account when buying this battery the cost of a way of mounting it to your camera as well. And you might end up wanting to buy a couple of these batteries so you can keep your different accessories powered that aren't all in the same rig, or so you can have a backup and you can swap them out if one of them does get low on you. These batteries typically run anywhere from $160 to $200 depending on what different sales and discounts are going on. Compared to the SmallRig batteries, this is a little bit cheaper, and I believe they have pretty much the same ports on them as well. So overall, I highly recommend the Neewer PS099E Mini V-mount battery. Gives you a ton of versatility and flexibility to keep your camera rig powered. If you have any other questions about this battery, leave a comment down below. I'll do my best to answer them. Like this video, subscribe to my channel so you don't miss out on any upcoming content. If you're interested in any of the accessories or gear I'm using with my Lumix S5 IIX and this battery, or my Sony cameras as well, I have links in the description below for all of that.